I'd like to call the Public Safety Committee meeting open on March 12th. Do I have a motion for the acceptance of the agenda?
I so move.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from the December 12th and the February 13th meeting?
I so move.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Public comments. Ordinances and resolutions. Do I have a motion to discuss Resolution 2024-15?
I so move.
Okay. So, motion for the SAFER grant. Would you like to explain that, Chief Bush?
Sure. So Jesse's actually the one that kind of just put it together based off the grant from the previous year. Of course, making some updates to it based off of, pay increases and other verbiage. We tried to make it as simplistic as possible. I'm going to put words in your mouth. Obviously, if I say something incorrect, please correct me. But this is an opportunity for us again to pursue the SAFER grant, which is staffing, increasing our staffing levels. With that being said, the grant opportunity opened on March the 11th and ends on April the 12th. So it's roughly a month. So again, that was the reason why we were trying to expedite this, to get this in front of everybody to have the discussion. This is only permission for us to apply. If we were to be awarded the grant, then we would come back. I guess the biggest thing we need to talk about is the number of folks that we could all agree upon that would be necessary for the opening of Station 7, and the fact that we've been on a hiring freeze for the last few years. I know back 4 or 5 years ago when we promoted the battalion chiefs as a second person in charge, because our stations are getting so big now, the span of control's out of whack. And we needed to backfill from where we promoted those battalion chiefs. So I have a number in mind, but again, you folks will be the ones that have to decide on what that number is. Mr. Eckenroth has put in there what staffing levels were all the way back from 2015 to current level. And then on the last page, you'll see the potential impact from anywhere from 3 up to 15.
I would like to see it go forward to Bowman with 6 firefighters and approve that, to get the grant going and to get 6 more firefighters.
I agree. I think 6 is a good number. When is the fire station going to open?
We're looking right now at April the 10th, because we are moving some people from shift to shift, moving from shift A to shift B, B to C. We're trying to coincide that with our 204-hour work threshold, so we don't create a bunch of unnecessary overtime. If we moved a person from B shift to C shift and they rolled into working back-to-back shifts, it would potentially be overtime. So we're trying to coordinate that. There's still some punch list things that we're trying to work through on the station. Furniture's supposed to be delivered this Saturday. We're shooting for the 10th. That's our hope, is for that station to be open by the 10th.
Wow.
And the way that this is written, I don't think we can change it to 6. We would have to do that as an amendment at Bowman, I think. Is that right? Yeah. We can't
Amend the way.
Yeah, we can't amend in committee, so.
Is there a number on the
I
resolution?
didn't think there was.
Yeah, there's not a number
There's
on the
not.
resolution. Yeah.
So we would have to,
Yeah, you would have to
add a
have,
number.
right.
yeah,
So we would know what you would want us to apply for.
right.
I mean, I can give you the justification for the 15 all day long. But again, if you're totally your decision, if you want to hear why 15, I'll be glad to share that with you.
I mean, you're welcome to share that.
So anytime you open a station, the current level of service, what we have right now, that we offer people in the community, is the minimum staffing of 37. You take 2 people off, so you have 35 people on shift that actually respond to calls, along with the 2 supervisors. Anytime you open a station, the NFPA recommendation, FPA 1710, recommends 4 people per piece of equipment. So you figure that it's an easy way to do. 4 people per 3 shifts would be the 12. And the reason why I said 15 was to backfill the 3 that when we created the promotions, that we never had an opportunity to backfill those positions. So that's why I say 15. But again, it's going to be totally up to you folks what you want us to put in for. We just need to know that before the April 12th deadline. We've not had Station 7 open, so we don't know the impact it's going to affect overtime. It's going to affect the use of the UTV in the park because it's going to reduce the opportunity for folks to be off. And we've hired roughly 22, 23 in the last 2 or 3 years, and we're trying to get those folks up to a certain level of training because in the next few years, I've got a 30-year guy fixing to retire in June. I have a couple of captains that are going to retire later this year, and we're trying to get these folks up to a level in the training that's necessary for them to be there in the years of experience. And because the fire school only happens twice a year, it really restricts those opportunities for us to get people trained up. And I suspect when I decide to leave, there are a few people that's probably going to leave with me that's verbally told me that. I don't know if that'll be true or not. That'll be I guess when that day comes to see what happens. And I just don't want to leave the department or the city in a gap where we've got a bunch of young folks that don't meet certain levels of training.
But just with the inflation and the cost of everything, I'm leery of going more than 6. That's just my personal feeling on it. I'm perfectly fine with 6. I don't even know if, BOMA will approve 6, if they'll want more or whatever, but I'm willing to send it on to BOMA, absolutely.
6 feels like the minimum to me. We're going to open a new fire station and we have to man it. But,
And you and I've had
Transfer.
conversations. I don't know how you feel or what you feel or whatever. I mean, you, like I said, you kind of help design the staff report, basically.
Yeah, I put in here the staffing levels on the discussion, basically for the last 10 years. We actually did an analysis of actual staff on shift too. We did this was the last time we went through it, so we just used the same data. And the minimum is 3. You have to have basically 3 to run a piece of apparatus, right? So right now, if we open Station 7, the per unit decreases to 4.1. But you have vacation time and sick time and training time. So definitely some additional numbers help get that number up to help compensate for when guys are sick or on vacation. But it's just really a level of service that BOMA would want to provide for their department.
Do you think 6 is ample, too little, too much?
I think 6 is better than 0. Absolutely. In the first 3 years, it's 0 cost to the city. So, I mean, traditionally, this is when you bring those folks on, you don't let them go. So it's more of a delayed expense than an instant expense. I mean, can it operate with no one coming? Yes, is not ideal for the station to operate with no additional staff because it's more of a strain on their training. They have to be more strategic with how they do time off and vacation and things of that nature. So, keeping 4.1 would at that level of service would be 12 for the station. But that's a little bit more than that's definitely more than the minimum. Right now there's 4.6, but that's not accounting for vacations, sick time, and those types of things.
Kelly days based on the 27-day work cycle that we have.
And my concern, I would like to have more is more when it comes to public safety. But my concern is that this is the exact same board that we went through with this grant last year, and they declined it altogether.
Mm-hmm.
So, not me, but the board's decision. And we had talked about from there that we thought that the station would open in July. That wasn't true, was it? But we were going to look at 6 months worth of data for there, which would include Christmas holidays, and see how it impacted.
We don't have
And
that.
we don't have it because the station didn't open. So I'm not, well, we'll just have to wait and see what Bowman says. But I mean, I would definitely feel more comfortable with more than 6, but I feel like it has to be at least 6.
And we don't have to put a number on this right now, right? We can send it to BOMA for the number when we
For
approve the
discussion.
resolution. Okay,
Yeah, we just need the number before we apply by the deadline, which is April the 12th
okay.
at 5:00.
Well, I definitely want to send it on.
Yeah, so I move to send it to BOMA with a positive recommendation.
I will second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes to move to BOMA with a positive recommendation. Next item, other agenda items is paramedic pay.
You wanna talk first?
You can go.
Okay, so before I even became an alderman, I got information where somebody would say to me that, I remember this one vividly, we needed an ambulance and it took 12 minutes. And then I checked and it took 7 minutes. But the family was going through the family certainly, from those circumstances, was traumatized. And it was the longest 7 minutes of their lives, but it was 7 minutes. County commissioner, that's who you need to contact. That's who does the ambulance. Fire was there in a reasonable time. And I think I get more of these calls because of Saundersville Road and the railroad tracks. And so anytime a response is not what the family perceives, because the perception is not real in those instances, oftentimes, I get a phone call because they think it's because of the railroad track. So I get more of these, I think, than other people. But over time, saying call your county commissioner turns into, I probably need to call the county commissioner. I've said this a lot and I'm being derelict. And so I started looking at it, and we have 3 ambulances in Hendersonville, and their response time average compared to fire department's response time average is 2 minutes longer. And it is what it is. We're not going to I'm not blaming the county for that. I'm not trying to pick a fight. We're not. But they would have to invest a lot to get that response time as low as our fire department. So you start thinking about what can we do to compensate for that, because you can play games and point fingers, but the bottom line is we got to work around that. And so from my perspective, the thing that we can do is have more paramedics in our fire department. That way, when we're getting there 2 minutes sooner, the people who are there are more well-trained to handle the situation until ambulance does come. We have very few paramedics, and I've also learned that Gallatin is getting ready to increase their paramedic pay, assuming it passes. They haven't voted on it, to $6,000 a year, and ours is $3,500 a year.
36.
36.
Yes.
I can't read that. So I think we need to increase our paramedic pay and get ourselves in a position where we can have more paramedics. And I think it's urgent because it's a 2-year training process. So any action that we take may not even work. There may be obstacles that are not pay related that keep people from being a paramedic. I don't know, but I know that this is the tool that we have in our tool belt to use to try and get more paramedics. And if we make a change to the paramedic pay now, we won't gain anything for 2 years. And that's why I feel like we really cannot wait. And the county is not going to improve significantly their ambulance services within those 2 years. So, unless y'all know something I don't know.
I have a question that someone asked me. if we have more paramedics, do the fire trucks, can they carry the drugs on the fire truck to administer?
We carry airway bags. Every paramedic's issued an airway bag. They have the ability to use pharmaceuticals. We have not pursued that because there's certain pharmaceuticals that need a monitor to go with that. My goal would be to work towards having these folks, as we get more paramedics, designate a couple of engines to be ALS engine companies, because you have to keep up with like morphine, fentanyl, things like that for pain, right? If we get there and there's a broken leg, car wreck, something like that, and there's severe injuries, we need to paralyze somebody to intubate them because they're fighting us. We have all that, but there has to be a chain of custody with that. We can't just leave that box of medicine on a piece of equipment and turn it over to a non-paramedic. You have to account for all that. So we would designate a couple of engines to be ALS engine companies, and then goal would be for cardiac medicines, you have to have a monitor to read that strip when you start administering those medications to make sure that heart is doing exactly what it's supposed to do when it reacts to that medication.
And you said it's roughly 2 minutes after the fire truck before an ambulance arrives. But
We're on the scene sometimes 2 to 3 minutes, and it can be longer than what an ambulance can
because we
be.
have just 3 that service Hendersonville?
That's correct.
Okay.
And if they're in a transport situation to Nashville, you've got 2.
And you're down to 2, and
Right.
It depends on where in the city.
What
So
call volume, then you got to wait for Shackle Island, White House, or Gallatin. I know 2 weekends ago, I think Engine 4 had a call in the peninsula down there, and the closest ambulance came from Gallatin. So we were on the scene for an extended period of time before
Longer.
transport was even there. Yes, ma'am.
okay. I've been playing with these numbers all weekend. And I've come up with a thought that I had. I don't know how you feel. Because right now, the only other departments that get additional paramedic pay other than us are Murfreesboro, Franklin, and Brentwood. Goodlettsville, I'm sorry.
Goodlettsville, Murfreesboro, Franklin, and Brentwood. And then Gallatin's in the process of seeking that in the upcoming budget year.
What I would like to do till we know how the inflation and everything, I would like to see us give a $5,000 one-time bonus 1 year after they complete the paramedic school to get us started, see how many we have. And that way it would give us time to revisit back the budget, but it would let them know that we are going in the direction to do that. That would be my recommendation.
I respectfully, I just don't think that motivates somebody to go through 2 years of training for $5,000 when, especially when a lot of, we're not targeting, Scotty is a paramedic, we're not targeting Scotty. We're targeting the people on the suppression
absolutely.
floor, and they have, a lot of them have side hustles. So they can make $5,000 multiple times over before they would ever see that bonus money. So I'm just thinking, and I'm not even sure, I'm not completely confident that there is a dollar amount that would motivate them. But I'm worried a little bit about retention for the paramedics that we do have. If Gallatin bumps it up to 6,000, it's just, well, from my house, it's 1 traffic light away, so why wouldn't they just go to Gallatin? And I'm worried about us losing the paramedics that we do have.
How many paramedics do we
I
have?
don't think that would motivate me.
8.
8 right now.
And how many are on the units?
There's 7 that are on suppression, and I'm the
The 8.
one. Yes,
I
I'm
thought
the
there
8th.
was a division chief.
There is. Gabe Hanna's a division chief. He's one of the suppression
Okay.
folks. I count him as part of suppression.
Okay.
But you are correct. There's 8 total, 7 in suppression, and then myself in the office.
And we have 1 signed up for the training this year.
Correct.
So this would really, for the mid-year budget, it would have 3 months, barely any impact really. But for next year's budget, it wouldn't even have that much of an impact. 3 years, not much of an impact. But hopefully by changing the pay rate now, we can get people to sign up and do the paramedic training through the next year's grant. So we're talking about really and I mean, my goal would be, we have one person signed up this year, let's double it, 100% increase, 2 people. If we got 3 people to sign up, I would be so thrilled with that. And that even still is just not very much money. And I feel like if we can buy paramedics, we need to. I'm not sure that we can buy them because I think there might be other obstacles besides pay. But it's just, I don't think a bonus would motivate me. A bonus that you get in 3 years.
Well, will this be on Bowman to discuss?
No.
No.
No. But I think I'm gonna offer it as an amendment to the budget, to the mid-year budget. And we can see,
That's fine, yeah,
yeah, we can see what everybody thinks.
I think that'd be a good idea to do it, an amendment. You look like you have something to say.
Yeah, I can start to prepare some analysis, Ms. Collins, if you'd like to share what that amendment is, or maybe
Well, what kind of analysis are we talking about?
like how much.
Oh, well, if we raised it to 6,000 versus 5,500, like what those would look like. And for the mid-year budget, looks like not much.
Be $6,400, because it'd be
If we
$800.
raised it to 6,000.
It'd be $800 per person for those 3 months.
So it certainly doesn't jeopardize our health of our budget.
6,000 a year per paramedic,
Mhm.
with or without a bonus.
Without.
Okay, so zero one time and then 6,000 annual.
And then also for 5,500.
Run both scenarios.
Yeah.
I think too, just for your own information too, just if you weren't sure, Murfreesboro and Gouldsville both pay a percentage. So their money's probably gonna be between that 11,000 and where we're at. They average 7%, so wherever you're at on the salary scale, you get 7% bump. Murfreesboro gives you a 3-step, almost like a promotion here. If they have true 2.5% steps, I don't know if they do or don't, I don't remember. That would actually be 3 extra steps that person or individual would get.
Good.
Right.
Okay.
So that's gonna vary depending on where they fall on the salary scale and what position of rank they are.
Yeah. I guess for me, I'm not as concerned about what other people are doing. Except for I'm afraid we're gonna lose people in Gallatin. But I'm just concerned about, we don't have enough and we haven't been able to motivate them to get the paramedics. So we gotta change something that we're doing in order to get paramedics. And I feel there's a big need for it. Because I just don't feel like, well, I'm not here to attack the county, but I just don't feel like our people are getting the service that they expect. No, they don't know or care where it comes from. They just want it when they need it.
Well, I'll run analysis both
Okay.
ways.
Okay.
And
I'll share
at
that.
our workshop, we can bring this up.
Oh, sure, I'll share it with the committee too, as soon as we're done with it too. So
Okay,
I'll share.
that'll be good. Good point. Okay.
And motion to adjourn, unless somebody else wants to say something.
I will second your motion. All in favor?
Yeah,
Thank
that
you.
was confusing.
I know, I kept looking at it too, like, hey,